Peace and blessings. Namaste to all light warriors, workers, and everything in between. It is I, Sophie, today, and I'm going to be very honest with you. This has been the hardest and is going to be the hardest video for me to do so far. It's not a rut roll, it's a transparency. And I've decided to do this today for those of you who may not have healed or who may have gone through some of the same things. I'm going to show you how to get past it by giving you my raw testimony. And this testimony can help change your life. And perhaps you can go backwards in time that I showed you how to do in a previous video to talk to your younger self, get healed. I want to talk about our incarnations. On November the 2nd in 1975, an angel was born. There's a picture on my thumbnail that shows her. Her middle name was Shauna, stood for Black Beauty. There's a lot of memories that are missing from my childhood. Some of them are coming back today. Little throughout time, because there was a lot of trauma when I came into this realm of existence. I was a beautiful little girl. Beautiful. And I had all of this light. And I also had a lot of anger. A lot of anger as well that I couldn't identify where it was coming from. We have people in our families, pedophiles, dark entities that are around you, friends and families all the time, and their sole purpose is to rob you of that light. Watch the movie Dr. Sleep, and you will see how children are targeted. I was one of those children that was targeted. I had an uncle who was experimenting with his sexuality. And because I was so beautiful and I had all of this gorgeous hair, he used to dress me up like Diana Ross. And he would make me sing and dance, and he would say, "Who's the boss?" And as a young girl, I used to say, "Diana Ross." Nobody knew all that took place in that back room. Okay. Parts of it I just recall with dancing and singing. Other parts, memories were wiped away. But I started acting out sexually. See. My mother, when she found out, because it didn't happen just once, and it wasn't with just one person, I was systematically being robbed of my light from the moment I entered into this realm of existence. I cleaved onto the only thing that I knew, my spirituality, because that was something that wasn't taught. That was something that I entered into this realm with. I would cry out to God all the time, and I never had to vindicate myself. That same uncle died of AIDS. I started trying to find myself again. I was very involved with the church because I had these gifts that nobody understood, not even myself. I could heal. I could see beyond the veil. And the churches loved it. They loved it. I was finding myself, even as a young teenager, in all types of ministry and having that desire to do that. We would go out, we would feed the homeless, we would do all types of things. I would teach Sunday school. I would create my own lessons from scratch. And I would start to get the eye or catch the eyes of the pastors, the preachers, the apostles, the evangelists. In my younger women days. These men that were in position of authority would proposition me. They would have wives, they would have children, but they sought to rob me of my body, my mind, my gifts. I was used to grow their churches. I was being told that I didn't have a divine covering, that they would have to operate as my covering until my husband came around. I was smart enough not to deal with this, but it made me angrier. You see, I was genuine. And I kept seeing the same patterns over and over and over again. Beauty, a blessing and a curse. Yeah. I would leave the church later on and start to constantly reinvent myself, trying to find myself, because I couldn't figure out what the allure was. I wasn't the most beautiful woman on the planet, but at the same time, I could not keep these wicked men off of me. I couldn't. I would travel with prominent clergy. And while there was a sermon being preached, they would slip me their hotel room keys. What was it? Was it my body at that time? Because I was in perfect shape. Was it my hair? Was it my gifts? I started to reinvent myself over and over and over again. And I posted those pictures on the thumbnail so you can see how I transitioned from one state to the next with every single phase of evolution. I said a prayer one day to remove my beauty. I did. And to remove my sight. I was being accused of being a witch because I knew things and saw things that other people didn't. So I prayed that away too, out of fear. There was nothing that was more important to me than my connection with Source, even as a young child. And the more they took from me, the lesser I started seeing myself as beautiful. And I didn't want to be beautiful. And I said, let the man who will find me love me for my inward beauty and not my outward beauty. So I let time pass away, and I no longer had a perfect body. I've always had buck teeth. That's because I sucked my thumb up until the age of 15 as a way of self-soothing and comforting, because I didn't know how to experience real love. When children are exposed too young, they equate love with sexuality or how a man can make you feel. So here I was, filled with all of this light, slowly being drained and drained and drained and drained, being used for my gifts, being used for my beauty, until I no longer desired beauty at all. I went through various phases of evolutions where I would love myself, and then the moment I felt like I was being targeted would go into regression. What is beauty anyway? Many of us spend so much time trying to be beautiful so that we can attract people, because we think that we don't have a voice or we can't be heard if we don't look a certain way, if we don't present ourselves in a certain manner. I fought with that, and a lot of my fight with the divine masculine was based off of the corrupt nature, how they viewed women, how they viewed myself. Women, and men too, because I know this happens to you. You just don't talk about it as openly. Women, especially Black women, we have to stop protecting people in our family and our loved ones because we think blood is thicker than water. We have to heal. Do you understand? The last reinvention of myself was to get rid of the long flowing hair, cut it off, and start to embrace my natural texture again that I was born with, but in locks. And I did it in locks for a reason. I didn't want to be bothered with constantly trying to do my hair to look beautiful. I wanted it to just grow. And I wanted my locks to grow as antennas to tap in to source at any time that I needed to. I went through phases of really hating men. I saw how they lay captive silly women. I am grateful that I wasn't one of them, but I always fought in these religious systems for the protection of these women. I fought for them, and I fought with them, and I continue to fight today. The difference is now, as I'm starting to regress and understand that it was me who no longer desired beauty, and it was me who didn't want to be seen and who didn't want to be heard anymore. And this was the reason why I continually reinvented myself over and over and over again, because just when you thought you knew me, I transformed into somebody else. I was hiding. The time for hiding has ended. I'm working on loving myself again. I'm working on embracing my pure beauty. Not the thing that is visible, not the thing to be lusted after or to be sought after because of the shape, because of the smile, because of the power. I know my story is not unique, but I also know that it's my duty to share it. And I'm doing this for the rest of you divine feminine. Stop protecting people because you love them. Stand for what's right. And if you're going to work on your body, if you're going to work on building yourself to a state of beauty, make sure that you're doing it for you, not for anybody else. Because if they can't see you, then they weren't meant to see you. Do you understand? It's okay to be seen. It's okay to be heard, because as I reflect now, there wasn't a time that I wasn't divinely protected. Trauma was blocked for a reason. I didn't need to live in that space anymore of hurt and shame and guilt for simply being who I was. I remember in elementary school, the little boys would go and get penny candies and walk me home. And they would fight on who was my boyfriend. I didn't have a boyfriend. I was in 2nd grade. And then I remember that little girls used to put gum in my hair so that I would have to cut it out. And I would get into a lot of fights. I fought so much when I was young. I was little. I was smaller than the other girls. I was skinny. I was a tiny, fragile little thing. But to grown men in their 30s and 40s and up saw me, an 18, 19, 20-year-old girl, as a target because of my beauty. Most adults can't even handle sex. What makes you think that a child can? It messes us up psychologically. The mind is not mature enough. It has not gone through the phases of evolution, and we form these unhealthy attachments. And some of us are scared to be beautiful because of it. And we've done horrible things to our own selves, to our own minds. And I had a very close friend of mine help me with this. Bless you, Rand. Thank you. I'm working on myself again, because what they thought they stopped when I was young only fueled me with way more power and purpose. See, goddesses are not only born, they also develop over time. I came in this realm as a goddess, and they tried to take that away from me. And what it did is empower me instead. And now I'm empowering you. And we are all getting ready to see this fall. We develop habits, bad habits, because we're self-soothing, self-medicating. We don't feel the love, the genuine love that we deserve, and we see it in its most shallowest of forms. And many of us who have not experienced it, we're striving to get it. So we're reinventing ourselves. We want to be beautiful. We want to be seen. We want to compete. I have no desire to compete with anyone but myself, and challenging myself daily. I will embrace my beauty again. And not a damn man will touch me ever again unless I give him permission. Protect your children at all costs. Stop bringing strange men in the house. All men aren't there to be father figures. Pay attention. What some men see is a younger, healthier, firmer version of you. And some of you resent your own daughters because of their beauty and because they are a younger version of you. And because you can't understand why that man you brought in the house is lusting after your 16-year-old daughter. Can you wonder why your daughter's promiscuous or angry or frustrated or resentful or even start exploring their sexuality? Beauty. What do we do to gain it? At what length? And at what cost? Because when you're beautiful, everybody doesn't have the purest intentions. They want to possess you. They want to possess you, mind, body, and soul. Start loving yourself, but go through the process of healing. And then embrace your beauty once again. But this time, in its goddess form. I am Sophie, and I love you all.